At all times, ain't that what they say?
You betcha.
Oh!
Jake Paul caught Nate Robinson in the ring.
It's super important to me. I want to prove to people that I'm a legitimate boxer, a legitimate professional boxer with skill and someone that people should be scared of. Like, I have knockout power. I'm dangerous.
Is hurt. And now he's down again. And that is it.
With something like this and like wrestling, MMA, whatever it is, there's also the skill of being a competitor. And, you know, he's only fought 2 times against guys who weren't really all that high level. And so his skill as a combat athlete probably is not that high yet.
Well, I'm trying to wait for you to stop talking. Okay.
This Saturday, April 17th, Jake Paul, YouTuber, and former ONE and Bellator champion Ben Askren are gonna box them on Triller, I believe. And this fight is just super interesting to talk about. I mean, we got Jake Paul, you know, YouTuber. He's been training for 3 years. You know, you should take him seriously as well, because I mean, he's been training, he's been going at it and things like that. He's taking us seriously. So whatever you gotta say, love him or hate him, you know, you just gotta say that. And Ben Askren, I mean, very respectable in the MMA and the sport. I mean, he's obviously known for his wrestling, not for his stand-up, and that's why it makes the fight so interesting. And that's why this Saturday is very, very exciting. And I just want to break down unbiasedly, no matter what you think, love Jake, hate Jake, no matter what you think about him, I just want to break down his training footage, break down Ben Askren's training footage, and what I think will happen I will say at the end. But in the beginning, it'll just be unbiased, pointing out what I think the flaws are and what I think you could expect. And if you're a Jake fan, what you should worry about, and if you're a Ben Askren fan, what you should worry about. Before we break down actual footage, I want to just ask you guys 3 questions about this fight. And going into it, I want you guys to think about these questions, because this will define the fight and the chances of Ben Askren winning and Jake Paul winning. They all kind of have to do with the same thing. 1. My first question is, what happens if Jake can't knock him out in the first few rounds? So it is pretty clear to everyone that Jake's plan, or what he thinks will happen and his whole team thinks will happen, is that Jake will not be able to knock him out within at least 3 rounds, right? And personally, I do not think that is at all possible. But you know, let's just say even if it is, right? What happens if that doesn't happen? We've seen Ben Askren take punches from hard hitters like Robbie Lawler. He only has 1 knockout loss in his career, and obviously it was in 5 seconds. That being said, anybody would have been knocked out from that. I don't care who you are, you would have been knocked out. If Jake can't knock him out, this goes to my second question. What if Jake gets tired? Will his cardio fail him? Will he be able to go all 8 rounds with a guy like Ben Askren that is going to put tons and tons of pressure onto him? And my last question is, when Jake is tired, what happens when Jake can't take those punches anymore? Because I know everyone likes to make fun of Ben Askren because of his odd and, you know, unorthodox style, but the guy is strong. He's actually a lot bigger than he looks, and if you look at the face-off with Jake, you could see that he is a lot bigger than he actually looks like. And he is a strong guy. I mean, he has a whole wrestling background. He is strong, don't be mistaken. Even you can hear in the pads. I think more of Ben Askren's problem is the speed, but we're going to get to that later. But will Jake be able to take these punches? And will he just give up? The first thing that you gotta notice about Ben Askren is, for his game plan, he clearly is going to implement the clinch. I fear that Ben Askren, one of his biggest problems is that he's going to chase the clinch too much. You could see in a lot of his sparring footage that he a lot of times clinch way too far away from his sparring partner. And if he does that to Jake, just like Nate Robinson tried to do when he panicked, he would try to clinch, he'll just knock him out. He's got to be close enough to clinch and close enough to be able to do damage and find that perfect sweet spot against Jake. Also, Ben Askren, you'll notice, uses his left hand to establish distance, kind of like pawing at the lead hand of his opponent. A key punch that Ben Askren is probably going to implement, if I were to take a guess, is the right uppercut. You could see it in his pad work that he's been doing, and he also used it against Damian Maia. Another thing to look out for is when Ben thinks you are hurt, he'll also switch stances to southpaw, and he'll make his right hand his jab, so he could hit you with that right hand easier. I also just want to address the elephant in the room, and the fact that Ben is clearly not exactly the fastest puncher, right? Jake is obviously way faster than him, and that's going to be a problem for him as well. Ben has a good chin, like I said before, but he has a problem with when entering into range, he has a problem with leaving his chin exposed. This is going to get him clipped, and at a certain point it might lead to a stoppage while standing up. Honestly, I don't see Ben getting dropped, or even if he gets dropped, I don't see this ending in a knockout. Another thing is also just a little detail that I'm pretty sure anybody could have figured out. He isn't exactly light on his feet, so going in and out of danger is going to be kind of hard for him. He's very heavy on his feet. Like I said, I think if you're a Ben Askren fan, what you hope for is that he clinches Jake, and he is able to tell when it is smart enough to clinch, which he has tons of experience doing, so I wouldn't really worry too much about that. What's something to worry about is the way that his hands are away from his chin and how he sometimes enters recklessly. I don't think he'll be knocked out. I think his chin is just way too good, and I don't think someone like Jake Paul with 10-ounce gloves is really going to do that. But overall, I think Ben, you could tell his improvement. If you look over his first week of footage training, you could definitely see the improvement. Now, I'm going to be honest here, it's kind of hard to find footage of Jake making mistakes. This isn't because he's so good, it's because either his opponents are really unskilled, and also he's just not showing anything. Nate Robinson and Nissan Gibb were clearly not equipped to deal with Jake Paul. And many of his sparring partners, he literally beat up like a skinny kid that never knew how to box. So it is kind of hard to tell. Ben Askren has 20 plus years of combat experience that I could break down. But what I could tell from Jake so far is that Jake doesn't handle pressure well. And whenever things get too hot and heavy and close to him, he tends to clinch, which obviously is going to be a bad thing against someone like Ben Askren that's going to apply so much pressure onto him. It seems like that Jake doesn't really want to get hit, and it reminds me of his brother during the KSI fight, that he did not want to get hit, and it's clear that he does not want to engage, and that's why. A common tactic that Jake uses is he feints the lower and changes levels and then hits the person with an overhand. Mostly an overhand right, but in the Nate Robinson fight, he hit him with an overhand left and right.
You betcha. Oh! And Jake Paul caught Nate Robinson on the way.
Good night, Irene.
Robinson goes face first.
Lord have mercy.
Jake also implements feints to confuse opponents, which any amateur boxer will be able to do. Jake also doesn't really hit the body too much, and I feel like he should. If I were to say another flaw, now this is just nitpicking, is when he hits the 1-2-3 combo, which is jab, right hand, left hook, he puts his left hand way too low. If someone can counter Jake, then he would get clipped right there. But do I believe that Ben Askren is going to be able to do that? Quite honestly, no. I don't think Ben has that level of counter striking, at least at this point. In the Gibb fight, although Jake got used to it, at certain points Gibb would duck under his jab and then hit him with his own shots. Eventually Jake got the timing of this, but this could also be something that Ben Askren could implement. I would say Jake Paul so far for an amateur boxer is really good. Do I think he could face pro strikers like Nate Diaz or Michael Bisping or Conor McGregor? Absolutely not. But for an amateur, he's doing pretty good for someone that's 3 years into their career.
Yes, sir. Go, champ. Good work, champ.
Here is my fight prediction. First thing I want to say, if we're going off based who is the better boxer, I will every day say Jake Paul. Jake Paul has the better speed, the better, maybe it seems like power, it seems like he has more of the experience. So let me tell you how I think this fight will go. First few rounds, Jake is going to try to land power punches on Ben. Ben is either going to get hit with these, or he's going to use his head movement to get away from them. I think that eventually after round 3, when Ben is still there, Jake is going to get tired. Ben is going to be putting all of his weight on him in the clinches. I believe that Ben will win via decision. I don't see either one of these people knocking the other out. This might be a controversial opinion because of all the facts I stated to you and showed you the footage that clearly Jake is the better boxer. But it's going to come down to who wants him more. And Ben's experience being able to handle pressure situations and situations where he's been hurt, that is what I think is going to win him this fight. If Jay wants to win this fight, I say that he implements body shots, and I feel like he should definitely take it slow the first few rounds. Save that energy up. He should utilize distance well so Ben can't clinch. And I think those are the keys for him to win. What Ben needs to do to win is to clinch, obviously. He needs to tire Jake out. I say go for body shots. Try to make him as tired as possible. In the last few rounds, I think if he lasts 5 rounds, I think Ben's got it.
K9 boxing, let's go.
Thank you so much for watching, and if you want me to do more fight breakdowns, comment below and let me know who you think is going to win this fight. I'm very excited for Saturday, and I'll definitely be watching. I might do a video about it afterwards. I don't know yet, and I'll see what happens with this video. Thank you so much for watching, and check out clips from the podcast of us talking about the fight and making all of our predictions, and I'll leave that at the end of the video. And yeah, thank you.